For over 2 decades, every time a new long-range sniper record appears, military analysts do not just study the shot, they study the doctrine behind it. When a confirmed engagement pushes past 3 kilometers, the media predictably focuses on the ballistics, the rifle caliber, or the sheer mathematical improbability of the impact. But inside the Pentagon and NATO training centers, the conversation is entirely different. Analysts are looking at the foundational philosophy that put the shooter in that position to begin with. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Canadian forces produced multiple historic sniper records in entirely different combat theaters. Furthermore, Canadian instructors spent years laying the doctrinal foundation for Ukrainian forces before the current invasion, a conflict that continues to yield unprecedented extreme-range engagements. Modern warfare keeps validating the exact same tactical philosophy. So why does a country with a relatively small military footprint keep producing a sniper doctrine that the largest, most technologically advanced militaries on Earth pay close attention to? This is not a story about a single lucky shot. It is a story about a systemic, repeatable tactical advantage. The modern lineage of this phenomenon crystallized in 2002. Operating in the thin, freezing air of Afghanistan, 2 different Canadian sniper teams broke the standing world record for the longest combat engagement within a matter of days. 15 years later, the operational environment changed completely. In 2017, navigating the dense, chaotic urban sprawl of Iraq, an elite sniper team from Canada's Joint Task Force 2 recorded a confirmed hit at an incomprehensible 3,540 meters. Then, the theater shifted again. By 2023 and 2025, in the artillery-scarred trenches of eastern Ukraine, new records of 3,800 and 4,000 meters were established. These milestones were achieved by Ukrainian operatives, forces deeply influenced by Canadian military training programs initiated years prior. The pacing of these events is what commands attention. A statistical anomaly happens once. When a specific operational philosophy consistently yields outsized results across mountains, deserts, and digitized trench warfare, it forces a re-evaluation of standard practices. Elite militaries recognized that this pattern was born from a highly specific, exportable doctrine. To understand why this philosophy is heavily scrutinized, you have to look at how different militaries build their forces. American sniper doctrine historically evolved alongside an infrastructure of overwhelming battlefield dominance. U.S. forces are designed around rapid tempo, aggressive maneuverability, and the integration of immense organic firepower. When an American sniper team deploys, they often operate within a massive, interconnected network of close air support, rapid extraction capabilities, and battalion-level intelligence. Canadian sniper philosophy evolved under entirely different constraints. Operating with a smaller overall force and a historically different logistical footprint, their doctrine could not assume the immediate availability of overwhelming air support. Consequently, their training emphasizes extreme self-reliance and profound isolation. The Canadian doctrine drills relentlessly into deep concealment, long-duration self-sustainment, and environmental mastery. Rather than functioning purely as an aggressive overwatch element, these teams are built to sever themselves from the broader force. They operate independently, surviving in hostile terrain for extended periods without resupply or rescue. The focus shifts heavily towards precision and intelligence gathering over volume of fire. This fundamental difference in operational priorities created a sniper culture uniquely adapted to fighting quietly in the margins.
The global military community fully registered the impact of this divergence during the early stages of the war in Afghanistan. Operation Anaconda exposed severe vulnerabilities in standard infantry warfare. The Shah-i-Kot Valley presented an incredibly hostile theater. The extreme altitude stripped helicopters of their lift capabilities. The sprawling, jagged geography rendered traditional engagement ranges completely obsolete. Standard riflemen simply could not reach the enemy. This is where Canadian sniper teams transitioned from highly trained specialists into critical strategic assets. They were not utilizing superhuman reflexes. Their doctrine simply adapted better to the punishing environment. When engaging targets beyond 2 kilometers in high mountains, teams must calculate the Coriolis effect, adjust for extreme shifts in barometric pressure, and predict highly volatile wind currents ripping through valley corridors. The Canadian elements leveraged their specific training in environmental adaptation to lock down massive expanses of terrain. A two-man team wielding a Macmillan TAC-50 rifle could effectively project the tactical pressure of a much larger infantry unit. They paralyzed enemy movements and neutralized heavy weapons emplacements that conventional forces couldn't touch. Afghanistan proved that in the right conditions, extreme range precision could dismantle numerical superiority. But the true core of this doctrine rarely makes the headlines. It is not about ballistics or trigger control. It is entirely about psychology and physical endurance. The most heavily emphasized, heavily scrutinized aspect of the Canadian program is motion discipline. To execute an operation successfully, a sniper team must often construct a hide in contested territory and remain entirely undetected. This requires entering a state of near paralysis for hours or even days at a time. The human body degrades rapidly under these conditions. Muscles cramp, core temperatures plummet or spike dangerously. The mental fatigue of staring through high-magnification optics while actively suppressing the urge to move, scratch, or shift weight is agonizing. Furthermore, operators must manage their thermal and physical signatures flawlessly. They monitor the condensation of their own breath. They manage their bodily functions without compromising the perimeter. They synchronize their breathing with the spotter to maintain absolute focus. The shot itself is merely the final fractional second of a grueling 72-hour exercise in survival. This extreme patience is the actual weapon. The rifle is simply the delivery mechanism. Understanding this level of psychological conditioning is exactly why foreign allied programs study the curriculum.
This brings the analysis directly to the Pentagon. The United States military is deeply pragmatic. They do not study foreign programs out of politeness or international goodwill. They study successful battlefield adaptation. American tactical planners are constantly evaluating future threat environments. They anticipate conflicts shifting into contested mountain ranges, dense urban megacities, and the unforgiving freezing expanse of the Arctic Circle. These are environments where traditional mechanized warfare struggles, where supply lines fracture, and where air supremacy is never guaranteed. In these exact scenarios, the Canadian sniper doctrine repeatedly demonstrates a high success rate. The U.S. studies the philosophy because it offers a proven blueprint for asymmetrical leverage. By analyzing how a deeply isolated, self-sustaining element operates without heavy support, larger militaries can refine their own special operations pipelines. They extract the methodologies behind Arctic survival, extreme range target verification, and the psychological screening required to find individuals capable of enduring that level of isolation. They are not trying to replicate the Canadian soldier. They are actively absorbing a highly successful methodology of warfare. Then, the modern battlefield mutated. The invasion of Ukraine introduced a staggering density of technology to the front line. The sky filled with autonomous drones, thermal optics became standard issue, satellite surveillance tracked troop movements in real time, and first-person view loitering munitions turned the airspace into a constant lethal threat. Many defense analysts initially predicted that traditional sniper warfare would dramatically decline. The prevailing theory suggested that remaining hidden from artificial intelligence and thermal sensors was becoming mathematically impossible. Instead, the exact opposite occurred. Precision concealment became vastly more important. Long before the current intensity of the conflict, Canada initiated Operation Unifier. Beginning in 2015, Canadian military personnel deployed to train Ukrainian security forces. They imparted the foundational elements of their sniper doctrine, emphasizing rigorous camouflage, patience, and operational independence. However, it is crucial to state that Ukraine did not simply copy a manual. They took that doctrinal foundation and forged it in the fire of brutal, high-intensity, peer-to-peer combat. They developed their own localized adaptations to survive against mechanized assaults and drone swarms, evolving the baseline doctrine into something entirely new.
This evolution has rapidly birthed a new era of extreme-range engagements. The recent Ukrainian records, pushing past 3,800 meters, represent a fusion of heavy ballistics and modern technology. Weapons like the domestically produced Snipex Alligator or the Horizon's Lord rifle, firing specialized 12.7mm and 14.5mm anti-materiel rounds, are stretching the physical limits of kinetic energy. But the doctrine itself had to evolve to protect the shooter. Drone-assisted spotting is now actively integrated into the sniper team's workflow. Operators must employ advanced thermal management techniques, utilizing heat-baffling netting and specialized materials to mask their infrared signatures from the sky. They must construct anti-drone concealment that protects against overhead threats while maintaining a clear line of sight downrange. The sniper team is no longer just an anti-personnel asset. In this new era, they operate as a highly localized intelligence node. They conduct electronic warfare observation, relay precise targeting data for artillery strikes, and surgically dismantle high-value targets at distances that outrange standard counter-battery fire.
When you zoom out from the individual records in the ballistic data, a much larger philosophical lesson emerges. Over the last 2 decades, modern military-industrial complexes became completely obsessed with the digital spectrum. Trillions of dollars were poured into intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance networks. The prevailing military dogma argued that technology had fundamentally erased the fog of war. If you could see everything from space, you could destroy anything on the ground. Yet this specific tactical doctrine continues to prove otherwise. From the desolate peaks of Afghanistan to the mud-soaked trenches of Eastern Europe, a distinctly human element continues to disrupt the digital battlefield. The fundamental truth is that acute human discipline can still effectively bypass a billion-dollar sensor network. The ability to blend perfectly into the environment, to endure severe physical hardship without breaking cover, and to execute complex mathematics under immense stress remains an irreplaceable asset. Technology extends the reach of the weapon, but it is the unyielding discipline of the doctrine that pulls the trigger. Warfare will continue to accelerate. The tools will become smarter, faster, and infinitely more destructive. Today's battlefields are heavily saturated with algorithms designed to detect the slightest thermal anomaly or the smallest unnatural movement. The airspace is continuously watched by merciless, unblinking lenses. But beneath that umbrella of digital surveillance, the core principles of an older, quieter doctrine still dictate who controls the ground. Despite every advancement in modern military technology, the most dangerous entity on the battlefield may still be the one a satellite cannot detect and a thermal optic cannot expose. Motionless, invisible, patient, and deeply disciplined. If you came into this video thinking the story was just about one impossible shot, you missed the bigger point. The shot is only the visible part. What militaries actually study is the discipline behind it, the patience, the concealment, the ability to operate under conditions where most people stop functioning effectively long before the trigger is ever pulled. And as modern battlefields become more saturated with drones, thermal optics, satellites, and constant surveillance, that kind of discipline is becoming more valuable, not less. On Military Warfare, we break down the doctrines, tactics, and battlefield realities shaping modern conflict beyond the headlines and propaganda. If that's the side of warfare you're interested in, subscribe.